I'm kind of the opposite of that. I'd be more of a kind of a weekend gamer in a way, I would say. I don't look at it as my life or my job or anything like that. It's just to relax, take some time to myself, and kind of escape out of the area, and it's my relaxation time.
Right.
So. But in terms of reading, I mean, it has always kind of been, like a getaway. I don't know. I never really thought about it. Connection between gaming and reading, because actually I don't like to read when I'm gaming. Like if there's a story, like I don't want to read it. I don't care. Do
you see any connection between what you do in your gaming life and what you do in those other spaces?
Not particularly. Not off the top of my head. I don't really see that much of a connection. Like, it's kind of, I know that I'm two different people. It's a different, like, dynamic. Because, like, I have to be this certain person in this certain area, like at work. But I am a lot freer to be who I am, like, online in the game. I'm gaming as a way of expressing yourself more than anything else.
I haven't found a real, I'd say, use for what I've done in games. I'm not big enough of a bastard to really use the meta gaming to one up people, and I keep the mayhem and all that in the game.
I think there's a great parallel between the two, especially when I was talking about platform games. It's very goal-oriented. You start at the position, you move from point A to one part of the screen to another point on the other side of the screen. From the beginning of the World 1-1 to the flagpole in Mario kind of scenario. In other types of games, you might have like this large world map and your available ability to just get onto a horse and sort of ride through this valley and sort of see this dimensions that is provided to you. They're interesting to me, but to me, I'm point A to point B kind of guy, and I think a lot of times it was just the simple nature of, I have a task and I need to complete it, and how I go about doing it is just, without dying as much as possible in the games, and you do that by, kind of keeping things simple and getting from, point A to point B to point C and to your destination.
And you say characters plural. You have a whole stable.
I have a whole slew of different characters on World of Warcraft, and I play them all.
Can you unpack some of those?
I have a couple different warriors on the Alliance and Horde side. Death Knights, Hunters, Paladins, Warlocks, Druid, and they each offer a different gaming experience, whether you want to lean towards the magical side of things or a melee side of things, where you're actually up close with the enemy fighting it. So each character offers a different aspect of the game and a different storyline behind the game. So depending on what kind of mood I'm in that day will depend on what character I'm going to play. So if I want to be relaxed and laid back, then I might be a shaman or one of my caster characters.
Right.
If I want in more depth of getting up close, then I'll be a warrior, my Death Knight, Hunter, or my Druid. Your life is going to affect the way that you play a certain game in some aspect. But I see myself as, the way that I go about attacking mobs or other characters in the game lead kind of towards my military experience. Yet my reading experience comes in to effect in school experience from the mythical side of it, with the names that I choose for my characters and the way that I word the talking that goes on throughout the game. So I kind of play both aspects of what I've learned in real life experiences to what I've also learned in books.
Well, in that case, you're actually doing research or scholarship in order to inform your gameplay.
In a way, yes.
That's fascinating.
So.
Do you find yourself in situations where your military training comes in handy? Like, do you have to, like, if you're, for instance, working with a guild or a group of people on a quest, do you take leadership positions or things like that? Or
Depending on what the quest is, if it's something that I've done before with another character and I know how it needs to be run, I will take the role of leading through a quest or through a dungeon and help direct the group where they need to go and how it needs to be done to overcome what we want to overcome.
Well, I think the idea of challenging, the idea of finding the best way to do something, quickly or efficiently. I'm starting to see that, like, as we're just talking about it. I'm starting to see that come through as like a career choice.
Running through the steps. Once you get to a certain cognitive level of understanding, you can just kind of click with it, and it's like it makes sense. And then now you're doing this job, and you're holding a conversation with the guy behind you about his weekend, and you're not missing a step.
wow, it's kind of like learning to throw a fireball in Street Fighter. Or something.
Right. Once you figure that out, like it's cakewalk. Especially I'm glad you mentioned Street Fighter, because one of my earlier games, like, I remember for Christmas, like, my mom, she like asked me, like, what kind of games do you want? I had Super NES at the time. Mm-hmm. It's like, would you like a game called Legend of Zelda? Link to the Past, that's what it was. And I was like, yeah, sure, I guess. I've heard of Zelda, but I never like got into it until that moment. And it's like, well, what about a game called Super Street Fighter? Would you be interested in that? And I was like, okay, sure. And my childlike mind, I forgot about it, and I got these games, and like that was my life. That was the epitome right there. Learning how to play these characters. I will never call myself a pro at any of the characters, but I knew like the certain move patterns that you had to do to win a battle.
Right.
It was educational in and of itself. Especially,
I definitely take the humor of Goons, which is very ironically horrible. It's basically making the most horrible thing you can, taking that and making it funny. And I swear I'm probably going to get my face punched in one of these days by using that style of humor, but I enjoy it, and it's given me a very dark sort of humor doing that, and it's it's given me also a taste for geopolitics. Watching, looking at that and understanding that better